changed it. I know they've been working on changing it. I think also they would get a rebate. I like that word. A rebate on how many prescriptions they would write on any particular pharmaceutical. I mean, and that's dangerous.
Oh gosh, there's a whole dirty business here. I mean, when you talk about it, there are a lot of subtle things from, being asked. A doctor is often asked to do marketing. Remember, a drug is tested; it goes through the whole testing process, but then it's got to be really. You got to have post-marketing testing, which is really research disguised as marketing.
And then 2 years later, the FDA that approved the drug comes out and says, "We think we need to take this off the market." Or there's something wrong with it, and that bothers me too, Lynn.
Oh gosh, it happens all the time because you really find out what the problem of something is once you've got it out there for a while. I mean, you take a look at statin use, for instance. Statins, which are the greatest thing since sliced bread, used for cholesterol lowering, but now used for just about everything. You know, Alzheimer's, osteoporosis, you name it. People are being given this drug. And only now are they discovering a lot of the real problems. They said it was a very, very safe drug, but they're finding big problems with muscle weakness and also with heart failure.
Well, and what about memory loss? I heard that people taking statins, that there's some guy in, Buffalo, who's almost lost his complete memory with this stuff.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, there's so many problems, different problems that are coming out, but again, only come out in post-marketing. Now, when we were talking about the doctors in dirty business, I mean, a lot of these doctors are paid to give this drug to their patient.
And by the way,
study.
And by the way, not all doctors. We're not. When we talk about any specific profession here, we're talking about the few that abuse it. But go ahead, Lynn.
Yes, and I mean, we always say it's not the carpenter, it's his tools that we complain about, because doctors are in the main good people who are really and sincerely want to go out there and help their patients, but they are sold a line by a very, very powerful, the most powerful industry in the world, the drug industry, and they're sold a line most of the time about how to, what is healthy and what is going to work. And this is the only tool they've got. It's the only tool in their box, drug or surgery.
As a pharmacist in Kansas City, Missouri, and you talk about tainting an industry of people who want to go to school and be a pharmacist. This guy was taking some kind of drug that people were taking for cancer, and he was diluting it down, where instead of getting 1 for 1, he'd get maybe 5 or 10, and he'd sell it as the one, and he was giving a diluted drug to people with cancer. They finally threw the book at this guy. I mean, what a lowlife, for crying out loud.
I mean, they do exist out there, but and it is pretty unbelievable. But in the main, I mean, I think doctors are good people who try very hard, but as I say, they are given tools which are supposed to work from an industry that is the most profitable in the world. And it is this, and what drug companies want to do is make money. They don't want to heal the sick. They want to make money. That is their primary objective.
And it's worldwide, Lynn.
Worldwide, insidious, involved in doing everything from suppressing the availability of vitamins in places like Europe, because they were behind much of this legislation, to pushing out their drugs that don't cure, but that that you need to take for life. That is any drug company's dream, is a drug that is taken for a chronic problem that's a drug for life, like cholesterol lowering.
We'll be back in a moment with you, Lynn. I've always thought maybe they sometimes infiltrate the drug into society. I mean, the disease into the society, just to get the drug out there. You never know. By the way, special thanks to Bad Boy, a fantastic forum for the information on the San Diego water system. Lynn, before we move on to take some calls, I want to ask you about your websites. I've got a couple. Is there a preference here of the ones that we have for you?
Well, we've got something for your listeners on each site. We knew we were talking about fluoride today, so we've got a free special report about, it's kind of a summary of a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about for listeners on our What Doctors website. That's What Doctors Don't Tell You, and the website is www.wddty, That's What Doctors Don't Tell You, wddty.co.uk. And that's got the special report on fluoride that people can download by just clicking on the left. You'll see the little American flag. And with our other site, which is for our field site, that's the material we talked about last summer. And we've gone ahead with our Living the Field section. We're working on intention and working on teaching people intention and using intention in groups and individually. And we're starting to do some intention experiments. So for people who want to be part of them, they can click on our other website, which is www.livingthefield.com, or one word, Living the Field, and just write to us, and we'll, let them know about their local communities where we're starting to do intention workshops, as well as our big group intention experiments that we're starting to set up with scientists.
What are they doing in Europe with fluoridation? Anything?
Well, it's starting to come into effect in Britain too. I mean, we're not in the place that America is, in the sense that half of America is fluoridated, but the government is now trying to push ahead with fluoridating the water, and there's great response against. There's a lot of government push for it, and there's certainly been a kind of a whitewashed report. But when you actually look at the studies, we talked about there's no evidence to demonstrate this really is the case. Loads of studies from America, Canada, and New Zealand show no difference in the rates of tooth decay between fluoridated and non-fluoridated areas, and instead actually indicate that the rates of tooth decay in children are lower in the non-fluoridated areas. So the idea that this is that this really works, even though it might have some harm, is an absolute nonsense. It's an absolute lie.
Isn't it interesting that governments push for it? The private sector would prefer that we don't have it.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's as I say. I know in Britain, it's seen to be when we've tried to inquire as to why they would go ahead with something with so much controversy, they say it's a way to solve a problem of kids' teeth in the inner cities. There's a lot of tooth decay, and they figured that the easiest way of doing this is just to mass medicate them. But, the argument is the other way. The kids have rotten teeth because they have rotten nutrition. And they eat junk food, they eat poor things, they don't get what they're supposed to have. That's why they have bad teeth. And so the better thing is, instead of fluoridating the water, of course, the smarter thing is to educate these people and to give them, and help in giving their kids what they need.
Give them free non-fluoridated toothpaste, for crying out loud. Let's go to the calls.
Exactly.
Wild card line. Welcome to Coast to Coast. You're on with Lynn McTaggart. Hi there.
Good morning. Morning. I just went under a bridge earlier, and when you discussed distillation, I distill all my water, and I want to know if my infant is okay drinking distilled water or if I should switch to reverse osmosis.
Well, the distilled water, you're talking about bottled distilled water?
No, I have a distiller at home, and I distill each gallon at a time. It takes about 4 hours, but I think it's worth it. You can taste the difference.
Yeah, it does take out a lot of things. From what we gather, the best way of removing everything, including fluoride, is reverse osmosis.
You can do double duty and do it all, and you probably get well protected. And even cook with it too, I would assume. You'd want to do that.
Once you put a reverse osmosis filter under your sink, that just becomes your drinking water supply. You cook with it, you rinse, you do everything with it.
A plumber could do that, or could you do it on your own? You go out and buy the unit. Is it easy to install?
Yeah, it's a couple hundred. It's about $300-400, and you install it, and once it's there, it's there.
Yeah, so that's a one-time investment. And I guess does it have a filter in it?
It has a system that removes everything. So it's a very simple system once it's installed. It's just there. It's not like filters you have to constantly change. It's a system that actually chemically removes everything.
Why don't you install it where the water comes into the house? Let's say down in the basement or something. Can you do that?
I think it might be too expensive to do that. It also slightly slows because it's got to go through a process. it would slow you wouldn't be able to take a very good shower.
Interesting. Okay, let's go east of the Rockies. Welcome to Coast to Coast. Hi there.
Hello, George.
Yes, sir.
Lynn, hi.
Hi there.